Front Row Rugby. Interviews with rugby legends with Peter Stemmet.
In today's video on Front Row Rugby, I have Springbok legend and 2007 World Cup winner, JP Pietersen with me. JP, welcome.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for inviting me to the show. Glad to be on the show.
Just before we get going, we have a trivia question. Let's have a look at what that is today. Who were the Springboks' opponents in a warm-up test before the 1995 Rugby World Cup? If you know the answer to that, you can put it in the comment section below. We'll also find out if JP knows the answer to that question, but that will come at the end of our conversation. JP, let's get going. Firstly, your parents deliberately gave you the initials JPR. How much of a rugby-loving family did you come from?
I won't say a family, I'll say my dad. My dad's a crazy rugby fan, and I think my mom wasn't too happy with the name. So my dad gave me the name of JPR Williams, and that was my dad's idol in his hero when he was watching rugby. So that's where I got a name from.
All right, now you made your debut for the Springboks in 2006. It was actually quite a difficult time. There'd been quite a few heavy defeats as well. Talk to me about your excitement, but also at the same time, the atmosphere that was in the Bok camp.
I made my debut in 2006 at Ellis Park against Australia. Actually at fullback. So for me it was the whole experience. As a youngster, I was 19, 20 years old and playing literally with my heroes. So for me it was quite exciting to play at Ellis Park, and I think we desperately needed that win. Like you just said, we had a bit of a difficult season, 2006 Tri-Nations, and desperately we needed. And obviously the magic of Ellis Park give us that extra boost for us to get that win.
Hey, if you're enjoying this video, why not hit the like button?
Now, it didn't take long for you to establish yourself in the side and become a key member of the Springbok team, off to the World Cup in 2007. And then there was that crucial pool match against England, 36-0. South Africa won that match. Possibly one of the most complete performances we've ever seen from a Springbok team. How do you remember that match?
It was quite a nerve-wracking build-up. I think that's my first start, like my second start in a World Cup, and so it was defending champions. Not if I'm England, 2003. So obviously, Jake talk about it. They're not just they're still the defending champions, and the whole build-up was that from 2004 when Jake took over, that this is going to be our match that's going to tell us if we're going to win the World Cup or not. And I think everybody bought into it, and I think we, like you said, I think it was close to a perfect performance we could have done as a Springbok team.
And then into the quarterfinals against Fiji, we won that, and then we were in the semi-finals. But crucially, the Wallabies and the All Blacks were knocked out of the tournament in those quarterfinals. That immediately put a lot of pressure on South Africa, now almost as the outright favourites, especially because of that pool stage win over England. How much pressure did you guys experience?
I think pressure is part of the game. I think it was there. I think the whole build-up, I think coming into the final, I think everybody in South Africa was texting us and sending us a message, and envelopes were coming in from people sending us letters and wishing us well. The president came, the Minister of Sport came. So the whole week was a bit of crazy build-up. But the nice thing about that group was we had such a belief in that group, and we had such a composure, and we all got a goal in our mind, and we want to win the World Cup. And I think there was nothing that could have distracted us, because if you look before, I can see it like yesterday, sitting in the change room before we run out to the field, you can just look in the guys' eyes that everybody's locked in, and there was one mission and one goal only, just to win the World Cup. And I can even say before we run out to the field, we're going to win the World Cup.
And when we look back at that match, that final against England, to be quite frank, South Africa looked in complete control of that match pretty much for the full 80 minutes. But how nervous were you during that match?
Yeah, obviously there's nerves that comes with as a 21-year-old. Playing your biggest game at the biggest stage. I think France was 20, 1 year younger, so the two of us was there. But at the end of the day, we just told ourselves it's just another game. And I think we just need to go out there and be ourselves and help the team. But obviously the emotions was running high, singing the national anthem. We can look back, a couple of tears came out of my eyes. was special. It was a very special moment. And but when the whistle starts to kick off, you go into that rugby mode of it's us against them. Let's get the job done.
And what does it feel like when the final whistle blows and you are a world champion?
Peter, the one thing I can tell you, I think the whole 23 team can say was we were just relieved. I think it was just pressure. It's like a big fridge just falling off your back. I'm just relieved that we did the job, because the whole build-up is that amount. Like you said, we were favourites and everything. So that was just more. My first reaction was relief. And obviously, when you go into the change room and you see actually the trophy, all the trophy, and you can see the joy in everybody's face, because we sacrifice a lot for that trophy. And the first time you see Jake smile, that's a good thing, huh?
I can just imagine. Speaking of smiles, after the World Cup victory, you guys came home, and then there was a ticker tape parade almost in every city of the country. How special was that?
I was unreal. Huh? I think the eye opener for me was when we arrived in Orotambo for the first time from overseas, and the whole airport came to a standstill. And there were just millions of people. I never see so many people in my life in the airport. They were just cheering and shouting for you. And obviously, as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, you're like, why are they like? First time they shouting your name, JP. And I was like, really? You're like, no, that's not me. And the people shouting your name, and it's mind blowing. My heart, your heart melts, and it just means so much to them. That what we achieve, obviously in a foreign country. And you can just see the support. If it was, just imagine it was in South Africa, we played that final, and just to see the joy and people coming out and to cheer us, it was unreal. I feel like it was yesterday. It gave me goosebumps just talking about it.
That's quite incredible. So Jake White, as we know, was replaced by Pieter de Villiers. That was 2008. Then we moved into 2009, and the British and Irish Lions were in South Africa for a 3 test match series. The Springboks won the series, as we know, but that second test at Loftus, how brutal was that encounter?
Yeah, it was one of the most physical test matches. I think you can ask the British Lions that they experienced, and I think it was just normal for us as South Africans because we love the physicality and yeah, that's just us. That's how we live for. And I think we were quite upset as Springboks. The first test, we let them in to come back and kind of think they can win. And obviously they got a bit of cockiness of talking it up on the second test that they can beat us in South Africa. And I think that's the most disrespectful thing you can say to a South African. You're going to beat him in his own home. And I think we just told ourselves, and each and everybody told ourselves, we're going to level it up with our physicality, and we're going to take them to a dark place where they've never been. And you can see a lot of bodies went off the field, and and it was just how we deal as Africans. We don't take a step back, and when our backs against the wall, and we come out firing. And it was a beautiful test match, and thanks to Mornay for that beautiful kick to seal the deal.
That wasn't a bad way to make a debut either for Mornay Steyn. And then after beating the Lions, it was Tri-Nations time. That's obviously before the Rugby Championship was introduced. And the Springboks dominated that competition as well, beating the All Blacks 3 out of 3, the Wallabies 2 out of 3, winning the competition. 2009 was just an amazing season for the Springboks, wasn't it?
If you look back from 2004 to 2007, I think 2009, I think everybody was at their best as a rugby player. And if you look back at all the rugby teams, and I think 2009 is one of the special Springboks players in a team that I've been to, and I think it will go up there as one of the greatest Springboks team that played the game. So if you look from 1 till even to the 28, they was not even playing. They were close to being the best in the position in the world. So that's a special group of players, and that we peaked at the right time in 2009. Just unfortunately, we couldn't kick on to win the 2011, but that 2009 was a special group of people.
And you yourself were actually in quite a special position in that at that moment you were a World Cup winner, you had beaten the British and Irish Lions, and you had won the Tri-Nations. Talk to me about the feelings of winning those 3 different competitions.
The feeling is obviously it's something you dream as a rugby player, And for me to get it in such a young age, at 21, to win the Rugby World Cup, and then straight after that we won the British Lions and then the Tri Nations, and it just gives you that hunger. I think you want more. You want to win more. It means so much to the group, and it just shows you that the sacrifice we give to each other and how much it means for each other. And that's why I think that's why we won 2007 British Lions and the Tri Nations, because we wanted more and we wanted to win more. Like I said, the group was special. There was we didn't satisfy. We were never satisfied with average. We always want to be better, and we want to be the best in our position. And I think it was the ultimate hunger that we have in the team. And if one guy is off, the next guy will always spark the fire to help the team.
And then after that, 2010 was a little bit of a tougher year for the Springboks, it's fair to say, but whatever. Moving on to 2011, Rugby World Cup. How confident were you that you guys could defend your title?
After the 2010 competition, you got a bit of doubts, and a lot of injuries happened from 2010 to 2011. So we were hit hard with a couple of injuries. But obviously the build up to the World Cup, we were a bit slow out of the blocks. And then getting into the World Cup, we just beat Wales, still finding our feet. And then we got a nice game against Fiji, and then everything starts flowing. And the control and the old team starts flowing again. And I just feel like the Australian game, I think we played our best rugby, but if you look back, we played our best rugby. The scoreboard wasn't in our favour at the end of the day. And if we beat Australia in the quarterfinals, I think nobody could have stood in our way, because we just peaked at the right time. And just unfortunately, that's how rugby works sometimes. You play your best rugby, but the scoreboard maybe is against you sometimes.
I'm going to come back to that Australia match in a moment, because there's something else that I want to ask you about the pool stage when we had Samoa. And I think it was the last game in the pool stage that we played Samoa, and the score was something like 13-5. Really, really close in terms of the scoreboard. What actually happened in that match?
I think we got distracted as a group. We got... Distraction means you get off the ball stuff. Got a bit of fight, a bit of back chat, and yellow cards start flowing, red cards start falling. So so just a little bit of distraction. But I think we were the whole game. We were under control. Obviously Samoa, it felt like a home game, because I think it was in Auckland, and the whole Samoan crowd was there. So I think they played their best game of their lives against us. But we were never felt like we were going to lose the game. Never felt like we were in trouble. It's just small things. I think the distraction, I can say, is one of them. That's why we couldn't finish opportunities. And it happens in rugby. Sometimes you just lose a bit of concentration. But the control to win the game was always there. So it's part of the game.
Absolutely. So that quarterfinal against Australia, I remember watching it, and I know that I'm being somewhat hyperbolic now, but it felt like 80% of the match was played in the Australian 22. And I know that people now look back and at the time blame the referee. Just how did you experience it? What was it? What did it feel like for you guys?
For me, how it feels like on the field was like, it's always going to happen. We were in control. We were playing in the right areas. We did everything right. I think if you're going to be critical as a player, we couldn't capitalize on opportunities. I think we had a lot of opportunities to score tries, to put points on the scoreboard, and we did not. And unfortunately, but it always felt like, as a team, that we had that positive feeling. It's going to happen. We're going to score now. We're going to score now. And then obviously Patrick Lambie scored. Felt like that's the game. Patrick Lambie scored, and next thing is a forward pass. So we're always one step forward, two steps back the whole time in the game. So the mindset was there to go out and win it. Like I say, we just sometimes in rugby you play your best rugby, but sometimes it doesn't work for you on the day.
JP, I have a theory that I want to share with you, and you can tell me what you think. So we know that the All Blacks at that time, they had pretty much built up a reputation for not winning the World Cup, right? Dominating in between, but then they lose in the semis or the quarters or whatever it may be. And I have a theory that had we beaten the Wallabies that day, obviously we would have played New Zealand in the semi-finals. I think the New Zealanders would have actually panicked, cracked under the pressure. South Africa would have won that semi-final and gone on to win the World Cup in 2011 as well. I'd like to hear what you think about my little theory.
I agree with you, Thierry. It's just, I can talk personally because we had that feeling and a belief in the team that we can beat anyone in this competition. And we beat New Zealand already in South Africa in PE. So we have that already, that mental switch that we can beat them. And obviously we're defending champions. And obviously they will panic because they're home ground and they have to play for their people. So they're going to be under a huge pressure. And unfortunately we couldn't play that game. But if we rewind and replay it back now, and I think we'll definitely would have beaten the All Blacks in Auckland.
Would have been a great game as well. Okay, JP, so that was the end of the Pieter de Villiers era. Heineke Meyer then came in and replaced him as Springbok coach, making your way through to 2015. You were in the side most of the time under Heineke Meyer, but now it's the 2015 Rugby World Cup, and I know you know what I'm going to ask you. What happened in that opening game against Japan?
It happens. I can't remember. I can't like put a finger to it, like what went wrong and how did we prepare well? Did we train well the week? Everything went right during the game. Like I said, we couldn't finish opportunities. Japan capitalized on our mistakes, and obviously they were brave. I have to say, for Japan were brave. To go for the win. They could have gone for the draw. I remember they had a penalty in front of the post. They could have gone for the draw, but they were brave, and they were brave, and they took the opportunity. They smelled some blood in the water, and they took the opportunity. They scored in the corner, and obviously my face was everywhere in the corner in Japan for the trying to saving tackle, but they scored. Unfortunately, it happens. It was. It still hurts today. Still gives me nightmares when you see it on TV and everywhere on social media. You see it, and something I can never erase in my head. But it happens in rugby.
Yeah, sure. You know, these things happen. JP, we actually recovered quite nicely, didn't we? Ended up finishing third at the World Cup, which is certainly not a disgrace. And then Alistair Coetzee replaced Heineke Meyer. You actually stayed in the team under Coetzee for a short while. So having played under Jake White, Pieter de Villiers, Heineke Meyer and Alistair Coetzee, what's your opinion on the differences between those coaches?
Yeah, obviously, if you look at starting with Jake, I think he's a mastermind of knowledge of the game. He's been always not one but two steps ahead of the game. I think he's just the way he sees the game is different to some coaches sees the game, and the way he sees talent and potential to become Springboks is different. And like I said, he's one of the great coaches that will go down in the game. And then obviously with Pieter, it was just the opposite to what Jake is. Jake was very coach-driven, and Pieter was the opposite. He's more a manager and let the players run the show, because we had a very experienced group of players, and I think he managed it very well. He took the pressure away from the players. You can see in the media, and we never felt like pressure. We never felt like under threat with the media coming at us, because the media was always at Pieter's case of attacking him, and because he said, the most important is you want the players to be happy, and happy players will play well on the field. And I think we did it for him as a coach. And we're still today very grateful, because he's a great man, Pieter de Villiers, for what he did to us. And then going to Heineke, obviously Heineke is with the Bulls background, obviously very coach driven, very good man, and he always tells stories to get just to foster imagination, how to get as a cohesion as a group. And he's a big believer in cohesion. And I really enjoy my time on Heineke, and obviously his coaching staff too. That was a good experience. And then with Alistair, I think I was just there about 1 year with Alistair, 2016. Unfortunately, by then I wish I could have helped him more, but my body was on his last legs, just trying to help Alistair, and unfortunately didn't have enough. I think Alistair didn't have enough time, and enough backing to help him to be himself as what Alistair Couture could have been. And you can see his record at the Stormers, how good he's been coaching at the Stormers. And just unfortunately, his career cut short. But I think everything happens for a reason in rugby. And that's why the opportunity of Rassie and the team went forward. So that's how rugby works. Sometimes it's all about timing in the right place. And the timing was probably not right for Alistair, but the right timing was for Rassie. And fortunate enough to play under 4 coaches and to play on the Springbok career for that long. I'm quite blessed to be that.
JP, I ask this of all my guests. Could you share with us a funny or memorable moment from your time with the Springboks? Funny moment is probably, I think, my first time when I arrived at the Springboks. That's my funniest moment. I think I loved somebody hide my boarding pass. We were going to Australia or something. I was 19. Somebody hid my boarding pass. Was just playing a prank on me. I literally were panic. I was sweating. I was asking everybody. I was running around in the airport, and I think everybody was fair play to them. They smiled and they laughed for a very long time, and fair play to them. And I panicked for a very long time. And I think that was the funniest moment. But there's always off the field moments, funny that I can't share. But there were some good times too. But I think that was one of the funniest moments I could share. Oh, that's actually pretty funny. Okay, so let's have a look at our trivia question then. Who were the Springboks' opponents in a warm-up test before the 1995 Rugby World Cup? JP, do you know the answer?
1995 World Cup warm-up. Were they playing in South Africa?
It was in South Africa. It was at Ellis Park.
Ellis Park. Was the international team?
Oh, yes.
Reading a blank. I'll have a guess. I'll think it would be Namibia.
Ooh, no, not quite. But they wear the same colours, though. In those days, they were still called Western Samoa.
Oh, Western Samoa.
The Springboks put something like 60 points past them in that test match. Probably I think it was about a month or 3 weeks before the 95 Rugby World Cup. JP, on that note, that brings an end to our conversation. I want to say thank you very much for being available. It was lovely having you on, and I hope we can have you on again in the future.
Thanks so much, Peter, for your time, and I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, why not tackle the like button? You can also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any content from Front Row Rugby. See you next time.
Front Row Rugby. Interviews with rugby legends with Peter Stemmet.